Hey, Captain Chris Myers here, Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. Something that I see happen to my anglers that fish with me all the time is they get the line wrapped around their tip. And usually it happens at the worst possible moment when there's a whole bunch of fish out there, then they got to put the rod down and fiddle around and try to untie that wrap around the tip. I'm going to show you today a simple technique that'll really help that stop happening to you if you're experiencing those same issues. The only way that line is getting around the tip of that rod is if there's enough slack between the lure and the rod tip to allow that line to be loose and to jump around the tip. If I have a tight line, just like this lure is dangling here right now, there's no way that line is tying itself around that tip. And so what I see happen to cause that is people throw their lure out, and what we do with most of these lures is we twitch them up, allow them to hop down. So the lures are hopping up and down, and people make the twitch, and then they drop the rod tip. And now I have a big bow in my line and got a little bit of breeze, which also helps blow that wind around my line. It's not going to happen to you every time you cast. It might only happen to you once or twice a day, but you definitely don't want that occurring right when there's some fish busting or a big school of fish. And with Murphy's Law, that's exactly when it will happen to you. So you want to stop that from happening at all. The other thing that will happen if I'm popping up, dropping, and then reeling, right here it just wrapped around my tip for me. So it's a perfect example. If I bring that up, you can see how it's wrapped around the tip of that rod. The wind blew it down, I dropped the rod tip, the line floated up and over, and now it's on top of the rod wrapped around this first guide. So what I want to have happen is twitch, stop, then reel. Twitch, stop, then reel. So very slowly I'm twitching, little twitches, and I find especially when the boat's moving forward as we're pushing down the flat, you want to really avoid pulling. So these lures I'm twitching just a little bit of, you can see how small my wrist is moving. I'm not pulling the lure up and then trying to reel super fast to keep down on it. I'm twitching the lure, let it hop up and down. It's so much easier to keep that line tight. So in normal speed, what this looks like when we make this cast is we cast it out. As soon as it hits, my line is already tight because I never let that slack get in it. I keep my rod tip up. For a right-hander, I find it's easier to twitch this way across your body than it is to twitch this way. This, to me, seems extremely awkward. It's a lot easier to twitch this way. So I pop it up, reel down. 2 twitches, reel down. Right up here at my tip, that line is always perfectly tight. The lure comes up, now it's going down. The lure comes up. As I drop it, as I drop that tip, I'm reeling just fast enough to keep the line tight. It's still allowing that lure to sink. So the lure's never constantly coming forward. It is going up and down, but I'm allowing that thing to drop by dropping my rod tip. And it takes a few casts to figure out how fast you need to drop your tip, but once you do that, you can get into a little rhythm like this. This is how I work a lot of my soft plastic bass, twitch, twitch, reel, 1, 2. You notice I'm not constantly turning. If I'm constantly turning like this, the lure never has a chance to sink down. So as I'm twitching up, I am not turning the handle, I'm only turning it as I drop my rod tip. Pop, pop, reel, reel, pop, pop, reel, reel. You notice my rod tip is high, my line is tight. If I drop my rod tip and do this where I fish in a foot of water, now every fish is seeing that line slap in its face or touch its fin before it ever gets to the lure. So where I fish, I keep the line up. If you're fishing in deeper water applications, that might not be necessary. But if you're fishing out on the clear flats, you definitely want to keep that line out of those fish's face. So try this technique, just a little twitch, couple reels, and you'll find right away that line will stop wrapping around your tip. It'll make fishing with plastics and other lures a heck of a lot more enjoyable.